Hello and welcome to Stupid for Fantasy Football. I'm Adam, this is Claire, Jabber, and JJ. We're here to bring you all the breaking news, how it's going to affect your team, injury report, great free agency pickups. We're going to get into our first segment here where we get to bitch and complain about what went wrong in our personal fantasy lives. This is called Who Screwed Me? That's kind of how it felt for me this week.
Oh, with the lightning and the clouds.
Oh, and it's a double Who Screwed Me.
Oh, wow.
It's true, too.
It's like it's reflecting Markinized teams now.
Yeah.
Right. It's just rubbing it in.
Well, that works for me because I had one guy who beat both of my teams this week. And you know, when it's like an Arian Foster or a Reggie Wayne, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
This week, it was a kicker.
Oh.
A kicker on the last game. Adam Vinatieri went off 14.5 points, and I lost both of those games by less than 2 points.
Yeah. Not good.
Stupid, idiot kicker.
Game.
Not good.
Brutal. Claire, who screwed you?
Well, I won, but barely, and Aaron Rodgers really screwed me. But I don't place the blame totally on Aaron Rodgers. I kind of place the blame on his receiving core, because every time I looked at that game, Greg Jennings was dropping a ball, someone was dropping a ball. They were blaming it on the wind at the stadium, but get it together. So.
Well, you know, Claire just screwed me by stealing my thunder about Aaron Rodgers screwing me because
you get screwed no matter what
I
happens.
get screwed no matter what happens. My team is 3-5. It's awful. Rodgers, Donald Brown, Chris Ivory. Any of these names ring a bell? Probably not because they're not playing on anybody's starting teams. Yeah, I mean, gosh, it was just awful. The only guy who did anything for me last week was Mike Williams from Tampa because he's so good. And I had Matthew Stafford on my bench. So what are you going to do? Wow. I lost, but hopefully with Steve Smith back from the bye, we'll see what happens. But I got screwed all around. I always get screwed all around. Get off the table, JJ.
That's painful.
That's painful. Yeah, it's painful.
Yeah.
I lost by 50 points.
Wow, JJ just critiqued your team, dude.
I did.
That's
when I look at your team and go, wow, that's bad. You know you're in trouble if I'm like, oh, wow. Oh.
That is just. Look at Michael Bush, the backup.
I know, did great. Still starting him.
Put in some quality time. I might do it this week.
The solid, you know exactly what you're going to get from Brandon Jackson there. That's it.
Right.
But every week.
That's all you get, 11.2. I think I got it 2 weeks in a row, 11.2 points.
As far as who screwed me, I actually won.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hold the presses.
Last week when I had the fire sale, I completed my fire sale. I broke up with Miles Austin. We're done. I know he went out, had a good game to prove how much he loved me still after I traded him, but I don't believe him.
Now I have a question.
And I no longer have to worry about it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You get that 3 a.m. call from Miles Austin. I miss you, baby.
I'm not taking him back.
I need you back. I'm sorry I hurt you. No?
Nope.
It's over? You're
Nope.
done?
Would you
I'm gonna
handle
hold
that
you to
3 a.m. call better
There
than
he is.
See? No.
There he is.
Instead, what I feel like
Is that a
I feel like,
Okay, just making
Rune, you want to show me what I feel like this week?
How do you feel this week?
I feel like I just went to Disneyland.
Wow.
Did you send a Disneyland picture?
I did. Oh, you don't have. Oh!
Oh, no. I forwarded it.
Corey! I went out of my way to actually send in a picture this
CSL
week.
dropped the ball on that.
He did. But
CSL dropped the ball.
Oh, well.
But I had my quarterback in a bye week. Josh Freeman came in, played well.
I started him as well.
Miles Austin has been traded out for Devon Bess, New York Giants Steve Smith, and Jonathan Stewart, who is not that good. But basically, LeGarrette Blount, who I said on my bench, would have made me win even more. So I'm actually happy this week. It's kind of nice.
Wow.
I know, it's weird.
I'm glad
Great.
I'm back for you to see.
I know.
You won.
happy.
You won.
Yeah.
You won.
Well, no, I was 1 and 2.
I'm the biggest loser.
Yeah.
Oh, because unlike last 2 weeks, position players on my team actually had touchdowns. It's amazing how helpful that is.
That does help a lot, doesn't it? Those 6
Not a lot.
bumps are nice.
I'm not saying I won in huge fashion.
Yeah.
That
But
doesn't
I
matter.
won.
As long as you win,
That's
you
right.
don't have to win by much.
So not so bad this week.
Oh, man, that's terrible. Okay. All right.
It's a win. It's a win.
A win's a win.
I'm looking over there. I'm seeing a giant loss.
A win's a win's a win.
All right, enough of this
right,
bitching.
All right.
Let's move on to what we got right. We recommend players for you guys every week. Here's the guys we got right, and we told you so.
Great.
We're back to the classic we told you so. The angry bullet we told you so.
It's like it's
I like last week with the Halloween. That was
like
Yeah.
it's gang violence.
Yeah.
This
Where's
is
the
promoting gang
whatever happened to
violence.
the one that his nephew or niece did?
Yeah,
you know, the little
seriously.
drawing.
Gaga. All right, let's start off with the first guy. Now, we talked about him last week and we told you so, but then he blew up huge LeGarrette Blount. This guy, I think he's going to be a stud for years going forward. He was the best running back in college football before that punch happened last year, which knocked him out of the draft practically.
Sure.
He's an incredible talent. If he can keep his anger issues calmer and not punch anybody, he should be great going forward. I love
think
this
just
guy.
keep those anger issues focused.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Feel.
Yeah.
And don't lose
That
them.
helps
Just focus
you.
them.
I kind of
Yeah.
feel the same way about me. If I can keep my anger issues under control, I might be a better fantasy football player.
And not be punching
You know what I mean?
the computer. Or JJ.
We weren't even on camera.
You laughed at
hit
my
me.
team.
We talked about this guy a little bit, Josh
laughable.
Freeman. We've had a lot of quarterback injuries, especially last week. Freeman was one of the guys we recommended. Now, he didn't have 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, but a good, solid start. This guy is very consistent. It's like around 20 points every week.
Yeah.
How many times does a quarterback throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns in a game, Adam?
Well, when Marino played, it happened consistently.
All right.
Okay, there you go. Do you see what Claire, stand up a little bit.
Oh
You gotta
yeah,
show
no,
it.
you can't see my,
Yeah,
my
see,
shirt.
this
but
is
I
her
wore
Dolphin
this for Adam.
Buster shirt.
There it
Can you
is.
believe this crap?
Niners, baby.
Yeah,
Niners,
Marty,
baby.
I miss you. You don't do this to me.
And all of a sudden, you think you're all up.
Hey, we won that game overseas, dude.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
swam the channel.
Overseas.
Hey, put on Google Maps right now, Los Angeles to London. Okay?
And it says
Try to
swim.
navigate your way to London and see what they tell you. They're going to tell you to swim.
Actually,
You know what?
actually Japan to China is funnier too.
Troy
in my
Smith.
opinion.
China.
Troy
All
Smith
right.
gets you there. That's
Troy
who
Smith
gets
gets
you
you
there.
there.
Okay, another Smith quarterback for the 49ers.
Yeah, Smith and Wesson.
So Freeman's been a great, consistent start. I like him. He's a guy I'm
And
going
the
to keep
thing
on my
is,
bench.
the
I
one
think,
nice thing
like-
is he really has been very consistent.
Yeah, every
You know,
week.
every week it's between, like, depending on your league scoring, it's about 20 points.
Yeah, and you look at it, it's him in comparison to a guy like Garrard or Fitzpatrick. Those guys will have huge games and then completely disappear.
And especially,
Or
we're
Aaron
getting
Rodgers.
towards the end of the
Yeah.
season, when you're
Yeah.
getting into the playoffs, like, you want to know what you're going to have.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a guy who's consistent.
Yeah, and he's going to be my backup for the rest of the year, and I'm in a
Talking to
keeper
you,
league,
Miles Austin.
so he's might be a guy I keep into next year because he's growing and getting better every year. We talked about Jacob. Is it Tammy or Tame? I don't know. Jacob Tammy.
Oh,
I can make
that's
fun of that.
cheating. I can't believe you asked before you just took
You should
took an
show it.
awful attempt at it.
You should
We
show
always
it.
I said
Ryan
Tammy
Adams
first.
Make a
I was hoping
terrible
to hear
guy.
a Tamay.
Right.
Tamay, Jacob Tamay. There you go.
If you showed
Yeah.
a picture
Tom.
of him, he does not look like
Tom.
Or
Adam
Tame.
would call him Tom.
Jacob Tame. Just take out
Tammy.
one of the M's, and
So
it's
drool
Tame.
myself.
There you go.
Okay.
He's not going to be Dallas Clark because nobody's ever going to be Dallas Clark, but he had a really good game. And clearly Manning's comfortable with him. That team's got running back injury issues, so they're going to be throwing consistently. He's great going forward. It's his job. I think he's a top 10 tight end from here on out for the rest of the season, especially on that offense.
Could very well be. Could very well be. Well-oiled machine, that offense
Yeah.
is. So, I mean, they're just firing on all cylinders right now. They finally started to gel, and their Colts are good. Colts are good.
Colts are
Or
looking
you
Looking
could
maybe
just say,
Colts
like-
Pats again, maybe in the AFC Championship. you
Could
never know.
be, and that wouldn't be a surprise at all.
Yep.
Do you guys have anybody to add? Those are really the three guys that stood out for me. I mean, I think all three of these guys should be on a roster. If you're in any league that these guys are on a waiver wire, pick them up because even if you don't need a quarterback or you don't need a running back, LeGarrette Blount.
LeGarrette Blount is definitely, if he's still available after this week,
then you're in a Facebook league.
He's
Or
not
you're in my league. Yeah.
You're in Claire's league.
The other day.
Yeah, he's not available on
Yeah.
Facebook, but in Claire's league.
He's available in my league.
But if he's still there, grab him. Like,
Yeah.
even if he's definitely better than one player on your team.
And he's going to be a great start this week against Atlanta. They've got a solid run defense, but not a shutdown run defense. He's going to be another great start this week. Freeman should be pretty decent against him. And obviously, Jacob Tomei. Oh, there you go.
And I
he's
would
gonna
say
be
you
great
can
going forward.
add Stafford to the list of, but that was probably someone you already talked about. For
Yeah,
quarterback.
Stafford, we've talked about him. I think a lot of guys kept him on their rosters. Not
Yeah.
a lot of people dropped him because he does have that kind of talent.
But it
although
would have
we-
taken guts last week to start him
Yes.
coming back from the injury after the bye.
Yeah.
It would have been
You
gutsy.
don't have to
and
feel bad about it.
Right. And,
it would've-
if
yeah.
you did it, more power to you because
Yeah.
guess who didn't? This guy.
Yeah. All right, well,
But I
enough
will
of the
this week,
bragging.
baby. Yeah.
We're going to move on to what's going on in the league and how it affects your fantasy team. It's time for fantasy news. Now. Jabber, what's happening out there?
Fantasy news, ladies and gentlemen. Fantasy news. Big news story this week. Randy Moss Randy Moss. Randy Moss, huge story. There he is. There's Randy.
Don't you love that hair?
Oh, man. Randy, we love you, Randy. Actually, I hate you. But as a panel, we love you. Because now you're a Tennessee Titan.
Look at that one. That was even
You're
better.
on a team that's actually going to contend now. So there's a couple of people we want to talk about here because there's one guy that's really up in the air on the Titans right now, and that is Mr. Nate Washington. Claire, what do you got for me?
I think this is good for Nate Washington, maybe in a similar way that it was really good for Percy Harvin. But again, as we were talking about earlier, this is all going to hinge upon whether or not Vince Young or Kerry Collins can get the ball to Randy Moss and whether or not he decides to run after the ball.
Whether or not he decides to play.
Yeah, I think, but I
Or
do
whether
think...
he instructs the entire team on how to not run routes.
Or, you know,
If the
and
ball's
maybe...
not going your way, just phone it in. You're totally fine.
This might
Totally good.
it
Baby
might
step,
end
Randy.
up being even more awesome for Mercedes Lewis. You know, you never know, or horrible. I think
Who you
this
just love.
who I love, thanks to my sister. But I do think like with Fisher, he probably stands the best chance of controlling the monster.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I
Fisher's
agree.
a hell of a coach.
Because Childress is a mess.
Yeah.
it is.
So perhaps this is the good Moss experiment. I don't know. He's such a
I'll take the other
jerk.
angle of that. I look at the Titans, and I think there's a lot on this team that reminds me of the Raiders when Moss went there. Obviously, they didn't have as good of a running back, but really, you take out.
Or as good of a coach.
Yeah, it's true. But
Or an owner.
But the
Or an
wide receiver
organization.
situation's very, very similar. The quarterback situation's very similar. And if you look at Randy Moss, he's great when he has a great, not a good, a great quarterback. When he doesn't, he fizzles. You know, he's great with Culpepper. He was great with Brady. He had a couple of moments with Favre, but Favre's at the end of his career, so you can't
Well,
really
I
count
mean, he
that.
also played well with like Brad Johnson, and you know, when he runs a route and he actually plays, he's good. When
Yeah.
he just wants to complain and whine and not really play, and
I think
he's bad.
this could help Kerry Collins be the Titans' starting quarterback, because if you're going to use Randy Moss,
You just
I was
throw
gonna
the
say,
ball
it's
up.
not going to be with Vince Young.
Right.
You know, it's
Right.
just
And
not
I think
gonna
I mean, with Randy Moss, you just got to throw the ball up and let him go get it and hope he runs the route.
Yeah.
I think another big issue, which we kind of talked about, is Brett Favre doesn't have the arm anymore.
No.
And so it just didn't make sense.
Or
He was
the
throwing
ankle
up
or the
he was
chin
throwing up
or-
ducks for
Yeah.
him, and it just at least that's
Which
what I
would
saw.
lead me to talk about how I believe the Minnesota Vikings are at a complete and total tailspin.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Now, how
I
does this
think
affect
the
the Vikings,
only
JJ?
person to trust on the Minnesota Vikings anymore is Adrian Peterson.
I think
And
Percy
even
Harvin, too.
then, no, Percy Harvin, but now he's back to being the number one wide receiver. The fact is, I don't think, you know, with Brett's injury, they're not looking more than 10 to 15 yards down the field. They're doing quick drops to get it out of his hands because he's hurt. He can't hold on. Our right side of the line is still giving up a lot of sacks. He's getting pounded. You got to get it out of his hands. And as that safety creeps in that was back there against Moss, it's going to be tougher and tougher to get that slot because before they were playing against basically 10 with a really deep safety who was there to double cover Moss.
Yeah.
Now that safety creeps up.
Yeah.
Now Sidney Rice not quite back yet. You don't have the blazing speed down the field.
So if
you don't have
Moss-
the time to hold on to the ball to throw it. And you know that team is just in disarray. Childress seems to have completely lost the locker
Yeah, I
room.
can't believe he's still
I-
there.
Oh, he's horrible.
I personally, as a Vikings fan,
Yeah.
I'm totally down with we're going nowhere anyways. Let's boot Childress. Let's give Frazier a chance for the rest of the year. I know it never really works out, but maybe this time it does.
I'm going to take the opposite tact. I actually think that Percy Harvin has established himself as a guy not only who can take the ball underneath and run with it a long way because he's super fast. I think in the red zone, they weren't even looking Moss's way. Percy Harvin has made some incredible catches the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Amazing body control on that 2-point conversion and the touchdown from 2 weeks before that where his body was basically like it would have been flapping in the wind and he got that second foot down. I think that he is an incredible athlete and I think he's grown into the number one spot and I think he's going to be great.
And he's a better
going
receiver
forward.
this year than he was last year.
Absolutely,
He's
he is.
smarter going up for the ball. He's better fighting for the ball.
He is.
He's becoming kind of like a really fast Heinz Ward.
I was
He's
just going to say
right in the middle of the field,
Yep.
and then he'll
Yep.
blow up. You know?
Doesn't quite have the bulk, but like he's
Yeah.
like a rock, and he's just
Yeah.
he's got blazing speed, and he's so good. So I think he's got many facets to his game. I think he's going to excel.
the big question I have too is what's going on with Vasant?
I think this helps
He
him.
wasn't, but the thing is, even last week, they only targeted Moss twice. They only threw at him twice, and he's taken double coverage, sometimes triple coverage, which should mean, and Percy Harvin is being covered heavily, should mean that he's getting open, that he's getting balls. I don't even know if he was targeted. I think he was targeted once last week. So, like, it's not like Moss is taking balls away from him.
Right.
Moss isn't being targeted. It's just nothing's going his way.
Well, I
don't know what's going on, but he's not getting any throws.
Schenko's always been a red zone guy, and they're not getting in the red zone as consistently as they were last year and at the beginning of the season. And so when they get inside the 20, Favre loves throwing it to his tight ends. Not so much in between the 20s. A little bit here and there, but not so much.
But I believe Percy has become the red zone guy.
Yeah.
When they're down there, they're looking for him. They're
are they handed off to AP?
Yeah.
And that's just the way it's going to be.
We're going to move on, but I think Schenko is still a good option. I think we can all agree.
I dropped him.
I don't know.
I dropped him for
I'd
my
say
team.
he's okay.
You dropped him. All right.
But one more
there you
thing I
go.
want to say is the way that Randy Moss opened it up for all the running backs that he's ever worked with. If he plays, this could be a huge boom to Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
And he's already playing pretty well, but not as well as he was last year. Yeah, let's move on. All right.
Next story. Donovan McNabb. WTF is going on with Mike Shanahan? What's happening in Redskin land? Claire.
Did you want to take?
No, I was just saying, let's throw it over to Stat Guy, who is a Redskins fan,
Yes.
to fill us in on what is happening with his team.
Well, you know it's always a great idea. You're behind, you're on a drive where you could possibly win the game, and you decide, hey, our starting quarterback, who's actually done a lot of these drives to win the game, doesn't have the endurance. Or doesn't understand the 2-minute offense. Or whatever excuse they think of next week to change the story. And then let's put in Rex Grossman. That's a great idea. Rex Grossman, who on his first play fumbles the ball.
Game over.
Scooped up
By a rookie.
Kasu,
By a rookie.
runs it in. Santana Moss, who looks like a mosquito next to him, tries to tackle him.
That was kind of fun to
Yeah,
watch.
that was kind of funny.
That was just absolutely hilarious. He just kind of gave a, are you trying to actually tackle me kind of look?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sue's an enormous.
I don't even think
beast.
Sue knew he was there until after the touchdown. It was
He had
like-
tried. He had already started celebrating before, and it was just like,
Yeah.
"What are you?"
Yeah. And this is now having seen all the Redskins stuff
Yeah.
and having seen them talk to former Broncos quarterbacks and people who follow.
They
the
were working out
Broncos a bit more.
Jamarcus Russell, I think.
That's like desperation.
Marcus Russell
That is desperation.
Wait, and
The team has a cold. They need somebody to bring cough syrup in.
and somebody else.
Yeah,
And JP Lossman,
Yeah.
the little guy,
basically,
the little guy with the mullet, right?
Yeah.
Did he have a
Jake
mullet at some
Plummer
point? I think he had a
writes,
mullet.
Shanahan's trying to find John Elway and then gets pissed off at his quarterback when he realizes they are not John Elway.
Yeah, Shanahan is a mess, and so is Childress. I think both of these guys don't have a job at the end of the year if this continues.
I think
Claire-
Shanahan does.
Yeah, he's got
I think
another year.
Shanahan, they're going to let him try and mold that
He's got
team
3
to
years at least,
himself.
I'd say.
Childress, however, the other thing that we didn't mention is the owner apparently is pissed off.
Yeah,
The owner
he's
loves
angry
Randy
at
Moss.
Childress. Yeah, he's really angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
All right, enough
Shanahan's
about
gonna
Randy
have
Moss.
time. Yeah.
Claire, Ryan Terrain is hurt. Clinton Portis on his way back.
Yeah.
Problems with McNabb. Issues with the coaching staff. Can we trust the Washington Redskins right now? Who can you trust on this team?
However,
Do you have
they
any
got
on your
Brandon
team?
Banks, who's fast and little.
Great.
Oh, I like Fast and Little.
And the Armstrong kid. Can we trust any of these guys right now?
Really little. He's 5'4",
Yeah, I mean,
6'6".
I don't know if you can trust. I don't even know. I mean, who are we? Well, we have to talk about it in the waiver wire.
Well, we're
Who
looking at
picking up
Moss.
instead
We're
of-
looking at.
I
you know,
like Anthony Armstrong.
yeah, I was
He's
gonna say-
really
Armstrong,
consistent. He's a young player. He's on the up. I like this guy. a lot.
Anthony Armstrong, he's not catching a ton of balls, but he seems to always get one for a very large
Yeah, he'll
That's
get
the
like
thing, if you
3
have-
for 60 something, and
Yeah,
and
like
every once
last
in a while
week,
a
3 for
touchdown.
But if you have
93.
such
like
a
the Devery
big-
Henderson.
if
Three
you
for
have a-
93, huge.
But with like
Yeah,
a quarterback
he had,
issue
3
like
for 92
this,
yards.
with if you're putting in, if it's going to be like Donovan McNabb or Rex Grossman or I don't know, we'll just see who. I don't know. I don't trust.
It's crazy too because the way Shanahan did it was like you'd think he was coaching Philadelphia with Cobb and with Vic.
And I
Because
I think
it's
he
like
has-
that I get. If one guy's struggling, you put in the other guy because they're both pretty equal. But
But I think the big
McNabb to
question
Grossman,
for our viewers is, does McNabb now, where do you place McNabb? Is McNabb going to get pulled earlier? Is McNabb...
Honestly, McNabb shouldn't be your starting quarterback anyway. He hasn't had great stats.
Right,
this
he hasn't
season.
really had great stats.
But
He's
it
had a
makes
couple
me
games,
feel
but
a little
that's it.
better for
Yeah.
Hainsworth because now I'm thinking like, oh, maybe Shanahan's just like a crazy, crazy
Yes.
eye.
Was it drop McNabb
Yes.
down from like a number 2
Power
quarterback to like
hungry.
that 2
He's
to
still a
3
number
area?
two, but he's a backup.
Like a
and he's
bye-week
bye-week
guy,
fill-in,
and that's
I don't
it?
know if I can trust him going forward.
Fantasy-wise, I think there's two scenarios, right? That there's two categories this kind of falls under. Either you've got a team that has great receiving core, and your quarterback goes down, and no matter who's in there, the top guy or the top 2 guys
Like
are still
Detroit.
going to get the ball.
Like Detroit.
We've
Detroit's
seen
a
that
perfect
in
example,
Detroit,
yeah.
right? In Washington, I think it's a situation where not only is there quarterback turmoil, McNabb's stability, if there was any, would have elevated a couple of these guys to respectability. But I think in this case, you've got guys who are just not that dependable week to week. So given the fact that now they're in complete disarray at quarterback, I personally don't trust any of them.
Yeah, we'll talk about the running backs
Yeah.
and on the wire. We got
Yeah.
got some things to say about them.
All right. Next news story. Is it time to panic, folks? Do you have Maurice Jones-Drew? Aaron Rodgers?
Yes.
Wes Welker?
Yes.
Drew Brees? I know I've got Aaron Rodgers. I know I love ripping on MJD. And there he is, the kid. That was like 8 years ago. So, you've got some of these guys. Now, Maurice Jones-Drew, solid game last week.
Solid game, but interesting in that blow-up, he didn't get any touchdowns.
Didn't get any touchdowns.
Yeah.
Right. Big problem for him this year. What does he have, one?
Yeah, 1 or 2.
One or two.
And even when that team is doing a passing offense, MJD is a kind of back that plays into that very well. He's a great pass-catching back and didn't get a lot of looks on the goal lines.
If you're in a touchdown league, you're screwed with Maurice Jones-Drew. I'll tell you that right now. Because I forget sometimes that people are sometimes in just touchdown leagues. You're done. I mean, bench him.
And if
if
you're in a just touchdown league, you need to become a real fantasy football player and stop that.
seriously, right?
Yeah.
Because yardage, as we know, we argued with that guy. Yardage matters, people.
Yeah.
But if you're in a yardage league like we all are, he still is going to put up some good numbers. He's now starting. He's
solid
getting the
RB2.
carries. He's
Yeah.
definitely a solid RB2, no doubt. Definitely a different category than Wes Welker, who I think
just as
that's
weird.
panic mode for some of you right
Yeah.
now, who I know picked him probably maybe even first round, second round.
Yeah.
Probably second round. Wes Welker, Claire.
Yeah,
talk
no,
to me.
I dropped him a couple of weeks ago, and I feel like you guys gave me a lot
For
of
Tom
shit
Brady.
for it. But
Right. We did give her shit for
no,
it.
you gave me so
Claire's
much
I
shit
told
for
you
it.
so was
Yeah.
bench Wes Welker.
Yeah, there you go.
And I
Good
think
call.
maybe he has a chance to come back this week.
I keep on thinking that every
But
week.
Yeah.
Every week.
They have so many. They have deeper options at this point. They have
Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, so I think he just has become not the guy anymore.
I think of those 4, Wes Welker is the panic one.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron
Sure.
Rodgers, Drew Brees.
Aaron Rodgers will bounce back this week.
Well, and
He may do a
Drew
little
Brees
bit.
will
if
be
you look
fine.
at their stats,
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, for what we expected, they're underperforming.
Yeah,
But they're
that's-
still
a
doing
top-tier
well. I mean,
quarterback.
if this is them having a bad time, they're still great quarterbacks.
And that's the issue. This is the this is the time of year where you start to say, I'm never ever drafting a quarterback in the first round ever again.
That's what I learned.
And you know what?
That's
Isn't
what I
named
would say.
Peyton Manning.
However,
Even
I'll
then,
tell you
I
right
wouldn't
now,
do it.
folks, you'll do it.
Yeah.
You'll do it again. 2 years
Yep.
from now, you'll do it again because I've done it. We've all done it.
Yeah.
But don't pay. But yeah, because I think people freak out about it. Like, oh, there's going to be no one left. But don't worry, there's going to be.
There's
you know,
always a
Matt
Josh
Stafford.
Freeman
Look at
or
all
a
these
Matthew
guys.
Stafford
Freeman.
out there.
Yeah, there's
No doubt.
And even if you don't ever have, I've gone through a whole season where I came in second. I lost in the championship game, and I had a new quarterback every 2 weeks. The rest of my team was great. My quarterback sucked,
Yeah.
but I was able to rotate in guys that would get me enough to win the games.
Yeah. Anybody else you guys see as a potential panic issue right now?
Well, I mean, there's big ones that we know are just total trash, like D'Angelo Williams is hurt, but he's
Sure,
even when he plays,
sure.
no good. Jonathan Stewart has looked terrible. These are all guys
Oh,
that
what about
you
Ronnie
could even.
Brown?
Ronnie Brown, I think the Dolphins' run game is kind of a mess. Ronnie
I
Brown's
think Ronnie
not
Brown is
good.
kind of
I
done.
like
And
Ricky
I-
Williams better than him right now. Anyway.
Ryan Matthews.
I have to.
Yeah,
but
Ryan
no, but I
Matthews.
think. But I have to say, maybe this will be my "I told you so" for next week. Hopefully, I picked Ryan Matthews back up because I think this might be his week.
Yeah,
What about
think.
Cedric Benson, too? He was a top rusher last year, and this year he's...
that seems to be more of a team issue, though.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
team
the
is
Cincinnati
struggling.
Bengals just seem to be underperforming in general.
Yeah.
Like at
Except
every
Terrell
position.
Owens.
Except Terrell Owens,
who's
but
doing
it's
much
like
better than
He's
anybody thought.
blowing up this
By
year.
the way, can I just say that he clearly has cut a deal with the devil? Because here's a guy who deserves no good karma, and like every ball. Did you see that pass? The Dolphin defender tips it. It hits his leg and then bounces into Owens' hands, and he walks into the end zone. It was the dumbest. Like it was totally a great
How
coverage.
does a D-bag like that get so lucky?
It
Week
was
after week after week.
unbelievable.
Apparently, he gives a lot of money to charity.
I bet
Just
he's
throwing that
very
out
sad.
there.
Oh, that's
Just
cool.
throwing that out there.
And you know,
You
that's
know what?
cool.
Does he have love?
I don't know. Maybe
That's why we have a female perspective on the show. Does your fantasy football player have love?
Does he have love? You know,
Does he
I was
have
a
love?
couple of years ago when he was I don't know where the hell he was, and somebody said, you know, you don't understand. He had a really, really difficult childhood. And I was like,
Welcome to the NFL.
what the fuck does that mean? I don't give a shit. You know how many guys have had a terrible childhood? They just don't cry about it on TV. You know, they're just not interviewed every 10 seconds.
But at least he went out of his way to trash Donovan McNabb this week as well.
Yeah, good for him.
Did he?
Good for him.
Yes.
Real altruistic guy.
Never met a parting shot he didn't like. All right,
I
moving
got
on.
I got a couple more things to add, Mark, if I may.
Sure, please.
Couple things to look at. Sidney Rice looks like he might be back soon. Probably going to miss this week, and I would expect that. All that chatter you hear about him possibly coming back, and that's why they got rid of Moss. I don't think that's going to happen this weekend, but it looks like he's going to be back pretty soon. Also, Deshaun Jackson and Vic both return for Philadelphia this weekend. That's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And on top of that, who are they playing? They're playing
Colts.
They're playing the Colts. So
At
it's going to
home.
be. I mean, you can almost right now. Vic's going to have 300, 350 combined yards, 3 touchdowns. Deshaun Jackson's probably going to do 100 and touchdown if he's as healthy as it looks like he
And
is.
I would say Macklin.
Macklin will
You
be
really
great.
liked Macklin last
yeah,
time.
and
so.
Macklin plays well with Jackson there or without him there. So
Yeah.
Macklin's a good start no matter
I
what.
have a feeling about the Colts defense this week.
A good feeling or a bad
I have a good feeling about the Colts defense this week.
I feel a bet coming on.
I don't know.
Yeah, I do
just
not.
I have a feeling. I'm rubbing the nose. It's not in there, JJ. It's not in. It's out. I have a feeling about the Colts defense. I don't know. Maybe we'll get back to that a little bit later. But
All right.
Let's move on to the.
Let's move on to the next
Take
segment
it.
here. We talked about the news. It's time to tell you who's hurt and when we hopefully expect them back. Unfortunately, this week, the lovely doctor will not be joining us because apparently she's got to save lives, blah, 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 whatever.
Mark
working
has played
on-
a doctor on TV, so
yes,
he will be
Mark
stepping
was a
in
doctor on TV.
and
Playing
give his
doctor on
authority.
TV.
So
Thank you,
you'll
yes.
have to give us very good answers on all these
Great,
questions coming
great,
up. All right,
yes, you
it's
got
time
it.
for the
I'll
doctor
take
is in or out?
I'm just gonna say
Out!
he should've-
Nice!
Oh, nice!
Nice! I requested that last minute. Thank you, Corey.
Corey, you-
CSL delivers here.
CSL delivers.
Yes. All
Other
right.
than the fact that you let me down by not importing my Mickey Mouse.
Who screwed
He's
me?
never going to get over that.
Who screwed me?
Who screwed me?
That's right.
Corey.
CSL
Corey
screwed me
screwed
on
me.
Disneyland.
So, we're going to start the injury report not with a player, but with an entire group of players. Every Colt running back
Yeah.
is having some kind of issue. Now, Donald Brown looks like the healthiest and looks like he's going to get the start. Mike Hart might be available. Adai's not going to play. What does this mean?
Well, because Donald Brown is on my team and I have such running back issues, let me give you my expert medical opinion. He's going to be amazing.
Oh, TV doctors. You're so precise.
Where are my scrubs? Amazing. Mike Hart is they're just banged up. Donald Brown is the best of the worst right now.
Yeah.
He's what's left.
He's what's left. He's all that's left. So hopefully that hammy is healed, and but it looks like the Colts have confirmed he's going.
He's
going
gonna
to
start. Well, he's gonna start,
As
yeah.
you've mentioned, Adam. One of the reasons why he has not been the guy is because he doesn't pick up the blitz as well, and you got to protect, the guy in all the commercials, Peyton Manning. So. But we'll see. This may be Donald Brown's week to shine. He may have another 80-yard performance like he did back in week 2 or 3.
I
Who
kind of
knows?
feel.
I don't think so.
I
but-
get a feeling it's just going to be all air. I
lot
mean,
of-
they'll
lot of
run
air
as much as they have to make it legitimate to open it up for the pass. It's going to be every Colts wide receiver, Tomei, whatever his name is.
Tammy.
Yeah, Tammy, thank you. All those guys are going to do well this week.
Carson is still in, right?
Yeah, Garcon, Colley's going to be back. It's looking like he's going to play too. So they're Manning's going to blow up this week.
Collie, I hope so.
Let's move on to Ryan Terrain. Claire, what do you think about Ryan Terrain? I saw you got him looked up
I know.
here.
It looks he's questionable this week, which
Yeah.
Well, what Redskins are on a bye this weekend.
Oh, so
Yeah,
he'll probably have time to heal. Although an interesting pickup, we'll get into it later, would be Keelan Williams because he played well in relief of terrain.
But we'll see what happens after the bye week. See what
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
saying next week. How far he's come along.
Yeah.
I mean, from everything I've read, because he's on my team as well,
Yeah.
is that it's an injury that could be minor, could just need a little bit of rest.
Yeah.
It's a hamstring.
We got a lot more of these to go, so I'm going to kind of try to go through a lot of these quickly.
Yeah.
Keep going.
D'Angelo
Let's fly.
Williams, some of these aren't on the list, sorry guys. D'Angelo Williams is not going to play this week. Jonathan Stewart will get another chance. He hasn't looked good when he's gotten a chance, so I don't like him. And obviously Williams, I think he's a guy that if you've got a better option, you could even drop him at this point, because even when he's played, he's looked just awful. And that's partially him, and it's partially that team is just in disarray. Donald Driver, he's got a thigh injury. He will not play this week, and frankly, he didn't play the last 2 weeks either. He didn't get a single point for 2 weeks in a row.
Is odd is you heard he wasn't playing from him.
Yeah,
I don't remember the last time I heard a player go, guess what? I'm out.
yeah.
I'm not playing.
Yeah.
Like,
I
it's
think
not
it's
a doctor,
smart,
it's not
though,
a
because
coach.
obviously it's been affecting him. He's been totally irrelevant for 2 weeks. And going in 3 weeks ago, that was like number 100 and something consecutive game with a reception, and then he just disappears for 2
I
weeks.
just think
There's
it's
something wrong.
it's interesting that he's just like, no, I'm hurt. I'm not playing.
That is interesting. Kenny Britt, now this is sad. Here's a guy who explodes onto the scene, and now we know why the Titans picked up Randy Moss. Kenny Britt is going to miss anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, could be the rest of the year.
Yeah, I've heard
Which is at
6
least
to 8.
your-
I heard it go up to
Yeah,
at
it
least
keeps
6.
going up. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
which is at
keeps-
least the rest of your regular season.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
fantasy season, if you got a roster spot, you have to fill now.
And now that Moss is there, you can go ahead and drop Britt. I mean, he's going to miss at least 6 weeks. You can go ahead and drop him, pick him up later. Got Brett Favre, blah, blah, blah. It literally says it on our sheet. Brett Favre, blah, blah, blah. I'm injured every week. It's something new. It's my chin. It's my toe. It's just whatever it is.
He did apparently
Moving on.
pass
He's gonna
a
play
concussion
again.
test this
Yeah.
week, though,
Moving
so
on,
he will be
JJ.
starting.
He'll play and
I like
blah,
talking
blah,
about
blah.
Brett. Yeah,
blah,
Brett
blah,
Favre. Look
blah.
at that. There
Fuck
you
you,
go.
Brett.
Vince
Okay,
Young,
next,
Vince Young in Tennessee. He's got ankle heel issues. He's got a bye to work through that. But I think Collins might be the guy going forward, like we talked about before. You want Collins in there if you're going to make use of Moss, because Vince Young does not have the accuracy for it. He also doesn't have the head for it.
Although, in defense of accuracy, if you just need to gun that ball really far down the field and hope that Moss goes after it,
He's got
you
Young's
don't
got a
necessarily
cannon.
need to be like
But he's-
100%, and Vince Young has a cannon.
I'll watch him in a game and I'll see Vince Young throw a pass and I'll be like, oh my God, that is amazing how far that is off. It's nowhere near anybody.
Like it's 30
just
yards
boom,
over
and
the
it goes,
receiver's head.
It's like nowhere near the field. It's it's amazing he can throw it that
he
far
could really
without any
test
accuracy. Yeah.
Moss's speed and jumping ability.
Yeah.
With the lack of accuracy.
He reminds me of, remember when you were a kid and you were like playing basketball and you decided, okay, I'm going to go to the front yard and try to make it from the front yard over the house? That's how Vince Young plays football. He's like, somewhere in the backyard. That's kind of how he does it. We've got Percy Harvin. This is a big story because he's been amazing. He's got ankle. He was limping after the game. He's still limping in practice today. I think it can't be too serious because, they know that they're probably not going to get Rice back this week, and they let
Well,
Moss go,
I don't think Moss
but
has
then
anything
Childress
to
could just
do
be
with
crazy.
anything other than Childress being
Yeah.
pissed off and trying to salvage his contract.
Fellas, let me take this one. As my number one receiver, let me give you my
Totally
expert
unbiased.
opinion
Your
on
expert
Percy
TV
Harvin.
doctor opinion?
Percy Harvin will play, and he will be amazing.
You heard it here,
If
folks.
that's like I have to apologize to Andre Johnson because he played through injury last week.
Right.
Did so well for me, and I
Yeah,
was going to drop
yeah.
him.
Claire, you know what, Claire?
Yeah.
That was Andre Johnson, your player, not getting any love from you.
I know.
And that's not right.
I know.
All right, Craig Davis. Hey, look, another injured wide receiver in San Diego. It's amazing.
There's no one.
Shocker.
We just went through
It's
this.
incredible.
There's no one to play.
Seriously,
San
they're going
Diego
to start
right now.
their head cheerleader at wideout this week.
Which
So
is maybe
he's
why Ryan Mack.
But
he's on
yet,
injured reserve.
still-
He's gone for the year. So
Still,
that's it.
they're passing the hell out of the ball.
Yeah,
Sure.
I don't know.
It's amazing.
It's 'cause
It's,
Phillip Rivers.
it's like, hey, you just put on a helmet and run out.
Yeah.
I'll get the ball right on the
It's 'cause
numbers
he's
to you.
so
It is.
accurate.
It's a testament to
He is-
Rivers. It really
He's
He is.
very
He's
cranky,
just
but he's
amazing.
very accurate.
Yeah.
Hasselback has got a concussion. He's going to be out week 9, and Whitehurst. Oh, what do we got?
We have actually a viewer who's calling you guys out on Vince Young's accuracy. Alex 14/1995 stated Vince Young has the highest QB rating in the NFL, and it is accurate.
Yes,
Wow.
and here's why. Because a lot of the time he
missed half the
plays,
games.
yeah, and a lot of the time he plays, he goes underneath a lot. If you look at the tight end stats in that team, they jump up when he's playing. Bo Scaife is relevant when he plays, but when it goes downfield, he's not very good at it. That's why Britt went off with Collins. I understand there's a lot of people out there that love Vince Young, and I will say it right now, and I'm a USC fan. I was at the game. Vince Young is one of the greatest college players to ever play the game. Unfortunately, how he did it and what he did in college doesn't translate well to the NFL. It reminds me a lot of guys that have come out. I mean, obviously he's far better than Jamarcus Russell, but these very talented guys who had a lot of athletic ability. You know, Vic wasn't even great until the last year before the whole dogfighting incident, and then now he's been pretty good this year.
I also have to say that Vince Young probably gets replaced more. In his career, he's been replaced more by his backup for sort
It's
of.
a head issue. It's like
than
it's some kind of
a lot of-
psychological thing. He's the kind of guy that if he's up, his team will win. He's a great player for a team when he's on, but he's never really a great fantasy player,
He's a
and I
good
don't think he ever will be.
psychologist. Yeah.
You know. So next guy up, and I appreciate you calling us out on that. I'm sure his accuracy.
Yeah,
is
more
very
people
big,
should be
but
calling us out
I'm
on JJ's
serious.
bullshit.
Yeah, serious.
I don't even know.
There's no doubt.
I actually just watched curling on this computer the entire show.
JJ, half hour of JJ going off on Vince Young finally convinced us, okay, we'll talk some shit about the guy.
Wow.
But I'm speaking
No.
mainly. I should have rephrased what I said
didn't
earlier.
happen.
Mainly his deep accuracy is the problem, and that's why I don't think he's going to be very good for Moss.
It's pronounced Young, by the way, Vince Young.
What did I say?
No, just kidding.
Young.
See, I'm saying you got me worried.
Right.
Mike Williams in Seattle, he's got a knee problem. He's questionable. I feel like he'll probably play. It doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. Zach Miller's dealing with a foot issue. He will play, but he's going to be limited, so you might want to consider somebody else. You got
They have
another
so
tight end.
many weapons right now.
Yeah, and
I mean,
it's
they're
and that's
throwing a McFadden and Bush out of the
Yeah.
backfield. I mean, they don't have to really utilize Zach Miller that much.
They don't need him. And then, of
against the
course,
Broncos.
this is a big one. It looks like Gates. I mean, they're saying he might play.
He has 2 feet. Both
Yeah.
feet are injured.
It doesn't make any sense to play him. He's got a bye week next week. You let him sit this week, get through the bye, gives him 2 weeks off to heal up.
But then again, they're not in a position where they can lose games.
Yeah, but
They're
they're going to need to make a run at the end of the season. So they got to try
Yeah.
to get through this weekend without him and then have
Or
him
you
for the end of the
just
season.
trade him to the Vikes.
Yes.
Trade
Works for everybody
Antonio
else,
Gates.
right?
That's, you know.
Yeah. That's all I've got. Does
Then
anybody
we
else
can
have any
cut him
injuries
right
that I
after.
missed? I'm sure there's.
Oh, I think
so
Vernon
far-
Davis was injured last week, but he's getting through the bye and he'll be fine.
All right,
Yeah.
so he's got
Yeah.
to buy
That's
this
my
week.
49er
Did we
injury,
mention
I think.
Hasselbeck? Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. Hasselbeck
And then we got
is out.
called out. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
But was it Chubby Whitehurst?
Whitehurst, yeah.
White.
Pete
Whitehurst.
Carroll's guy. He's the guy that he brought him in. I mean,
San Diego, yeah.
Yeah.
I highly doubt it. But then again, if you look at what Pete Carroll did at USC, people gave him crap when he started Leinart, and that worked out great. People gave him crap when he upped Sanchez over
Yeah.
Mitch Mustaine, and that worked out great. So it's
I will say
You
that
know
they're
something.
way better. Seattle's way better at home than they are on the road, but they are playing the Giants this week. So
And by the way, I met Russell Okong this week. He's huge and very nice. Nice guy. All right.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And that's his name.
So we've covered all the injuries. We've covered the news. Now we're going to get on to what to do, who to pick up to fill in these guys that are hurt or players that have moved around. It's time for On the Wire. All right, I'm actually going to skip over this first one because I don't like it. I looked it up and he's just not available in any leagues. It's funny to me. That means everybody's been keeping Clinton Portis on their bench through all this. And I don't even think when he comes back he's going to be that great because obviously Terrain's there. And behind Terrain, you got Keelan Williams, who looked really good in relief of Terrain. I think if you have Terrain, you got to pick this guy up. He's available in over 90% of leagues. That way, if Terrain is hurt and doesn't make it back to the field,
If you
you've
have
got
Clinton
the guy.
Portis, look to last week when I talked about to hang on to guys who no longer have value.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't hang on to the name. Clinton Portis, I don't think will ever be fantasy relevant again. I think he's got to that point where he might get a touchdown every once in a while, but as far as like getting over 3 yards a carry, it's not happening. Kevin Smith, this is just in case you own Javid Best. He's not available in a lot of leagues, but if you have Best and he's out there, you might want to pick him up because they actually used him much as they used Best. Yeah, and he played well. He looked good, and he was good in his first year as a rookie, and then he got injured. So he's a guy you might want to look into. Here's a guy that's first-round pick. all the world was expected of him. He's available in 90% of leagues. Darius Hayward-Bay, wide receiver out of Oakland, looked good last week. Now, admittedly, against Arizona.
And had one long touchdown catch.
Yeah. That's
Only 5 catches, did have 105 yards and a touchdown, but other than that, nothing too spectacular.
But nice that he was getting worked into the game.
Sure.
And we know he's got talent from his from what he did in college. Can he, wake up? Most wide receivers don't really figure it out till year 2 or 3.
Yeah.
You very rarely have these rookies that come in like a Percy Harvin or an Anquan Bolden and just blow up. It's a rare thing.
And the fact that their running game is so good right now. I mean, they're just running on all cylinders. This could be the beginning of something.
Yep.
So, hey, if you've got a roster spot, it might be worth it to fill.
Yeah, exactly. He's never going to see extra coverage downfield because they're pulling up into the box to stop Bush and McFadden.
Yeah.
So it's all about whether his quarterback can get to him and if he continues to build on the success he had last week. We talked about Kerry Collins. He's available in 87% of leagues. He's got a bye this week. I'm talking about him now because if you're hurting at quarterback and you're worried about picking somebody up and you got an extra spot, put him on your bench. He might be the starter in Tennessee going to week 10. Might not be, but if you're hurting, I mean, when he played, he was brilliant that one week. This is one I like on the Cowboys, believe it or not. Tashard Choice.
Oh, it's Claire's new boyfriend.
Yeah, I like Tashard Choice.
Yeah? Tell me about Tashard Choice, Claire.
Well, I like him as an option on the Cowboys because I feel like just purely for the fact that like no one else is really doing their job. I mean, every now and then.
No, I think you're safe to say no one on the Cowboys is doing their job.
I mean,
I think you can
Claire,
make that
So I think
even the
I like the
groundskeepers
idea-
aren't doing their
Yeah.
job.
I like the idea that because Miles Austin will have a good game every now and then, but you have a guy like Choice who gets touches every now and then, but on a team that's really sucking, maybe he'll be like, oh, now it's all on me. They'll give me the ball. I'm going to run with it. And
You got to figure Jones and
Yeah.
Barber have been huge disappointments.
Yeah.
Sure.
And you're 1-6, right? They're 1-6, or are they one? Are they
Yeah.
one?
No, they're
1-6
one-
or the 1-6. Yeah.
It's either 1-6, 1-7. Why not
1-7,
try
yeah.
something new? Why? I mean, what's the worst that could happen, right? It's like why
Worse,
not throw in?
how could it get any worse?
And I remember a couple years ago, or maybe it was last year or 2 years ago, Tashard Choice had a couple of nice games in relief of Jones, and so maybe he'll get a shot. He's available in 70% of leagues.
They
That's a
are
decent
playing the
pickup.
Packers this week, which
A
is
banged up Packers
Right,
too.
they're at Lambeau.
Yeah,
but
real banged up
what do
Packers.
they get?
But the Cowboys are emotionally banged up.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
true.
could be even worse.
Yeah, that is true. I hate to say this, but I think
Don't.
Jason Campbell.
Don't.
I think it's his job to lose again.
Don't.
They're winning when he's in there.
Don't.
I know.
Supposedly Gronkowski's going to get the start when he's healthy.
Yeah, they
but
always say that. I don't.
Yeah,
think
they
I
always
actually
say
heard that Jason Campbell was working out for the Redskins. Amazing. While he's employed by another team. This is unbelievable.
I think didn't
just saying hi
Marinovich
to old
just go
friends.
to?
Right. He went
He
down
left his
there.
cleats in the locker. He wanted to get them back.
Right.
This next guy, wide receiver in Detroit. This is a Stafford move. Stafford is much better throwing the ball to his wide receivers than Hill was. Than what was the other guy's name? Why am I forgetting? Anyway, than any of the other quarterbacks in Detroit.
The other quarterback who was in for 2 quarters.
Yeah,
and got
exactly. I think it's Stanton, right? Isn't it Drew Stanton?
Yeah.
Right.
Nate Burleson, wide receiver of Detroit, had a good game last week. Obviously, when you're playing on the other side of the field from Calvin Johnson, you're never going to see double coverage because they'll double and triple Calvin Johnson.
And, Nate Burleson had some really good years in Minnesota and then became part of the weird Steve Hutchinson, like this poison pill signing people, and he never worked out in Seattle. He never quite gelled with that system. But yeah, when you got, everybody rolling to the Calvin Johnson side of the field, he never sees more than one-on-one coverage.
And Nate Burleson's available in 60% of leagues, so he makes for a decent pickup if you're hurting at wide receiver. Now we're going to get into a lot of Green Bay stuff. Green Bay has got all kinds of injuries. Donald Driver, obviously Finley's out for the year. Now Corliss, the backup tight end, went down. That leaves you with Donald Lee. He's available in 85% of leagues, and when he was in before he got injured, he was great. Donald Lee is my favorite pickup of the week. Tight end. He's gonna get a lot of balls.
What was that,
He's gonna get a
Mark?
lot
Should
of
we
looks.
just get him now?
Yeah, just go ahead and pick him up now.
He's got a great track record
Look up
with
his
tight
stats.
ends.
Look up his stats right before he got injured. He was performing on a level that was almost exactly what Finley was doing. So and he's got a much better rapport with Rodgers than Corliss did because Corliss is a rookie. He's so new. I really like him. I think he's gonna be a great pickup.
You know
this
who I
week.
think is going to ultimately fill in at tight end and wide receiver is your man, JJ.
John Kuhn.
John Kuhn. They're moving him all over the field. This guy can play offensive tackle, defensive tackle, nose guard. He can play safety. He can play running back.
And he's a
runs
hell of a
bike.
cheerleader.
He's a hell of a cheerleader. He rides a tiny little bike. I mean, but he wears big gloves.
He
don't know
does.
that
I mean, he's just
And,
amazing. So
Another guy to consider there is Jordy Nelson, wide receiver. He's going to get a shot. Driver's not
Jordy
playing.
Nelson intrigues me.
Yeah, he does. He's got
And
glimpses
especially
of,
this
of
week
brilliance.
when you're playing Dallas.
Yeah.
Who, as Marty last week put nicely, and in my opinion, I'm beginning to believe that Dallas is the new Bills. That if you've got a guy going up against Dallas, start him. Like, because they're letting up all kinds of points. They're letting up all kinds of yards. And against Dallas, Donald Driver, as we already said, taking himself out of the game. You know, he's a big target, 6'3".
yeah, Jordy Nelson sounds like you know that annoying little kindergarten friend, like who gets in all kinds of trouble that your parents don't want. You
I don't want
hanging
that
out
Jordy
with.
Nelson boy over anymore.
Stay away from that Jordy Nelson kid.
Yeah.
He's a bad influence.
You know,
So
last week,
now he could,
against
you know,
the Jets last week, 5 catches, averaged 11 yards a catch.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Rodgers is gonna have a big game.
I think so too. And
Big game. on
That's
Sunday.
only because you're starting.
No, I may not start him.
No, it's
actually.
'cause
I may
he's
start
playing
Stafford.
against Dallas.
He's playing Dallas.
Yeah.
And this is the week. I mean, I think he, I don't know what happens behind closed doors.
we got another tight end for you too. If you have Gates, I would say right now pick up Randy McMichael, because if Gates doesn't play, McMichael will, and with them hurting at wide receiver
Yeah.
like that, he's gonna get.
He's going to get
chances.
touches.
And Rivers
I
is great.
cannot help but laugh that guy's still in the league.
I know, but he's gonna.
But
He might
he's
have a great
older.
game.
2 years old.
Yeah.
They have just a ton of rookies and a 52-year-old
He's
guy.
the only player still
Sticks.
playing.
So-
He's still playing that was playing when they merged the two leagues, and that's nice. It's
Right,
good to have
that's
history on your
incredible.
team. Then Nate Washington. Now this, I have to give credit, Metal Militia 928 on Twitter. This is his free agency pickup, and I think it's a good one. Nate Washington, wide receiver out of Tennessee. We talked about him earlier. Available in 80% of leagues. Good call, Metal
I picked
Militia.
him up
Love it.
because of our guy.
Yeah, that's
Overseas.
awesome. Yeah,
I picked him up.
He's
Thank
gotta
you.
be. Yeah, he's like our #1 fan too. I love this guy. And,
So
have
far
some
away,
sushi.
which is encouraging.
For some reason,
and
I felt like
depressing at the same time.
you were looking for a graphic on him.
Yeah, we should have a graphic.
Show
Yeah,
the with
We
the
should have his
ham.
whole little intro.
give us
and
something.
then one last guy I'm going to talk about, and Mark, you're going to love this because I am sure I am going to slaughter this name. Seyi Ajirotutu.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
the
even know who
tutu?
you're talking
I don't even know
about.
who you're talking about.
You've so
I saw something
slaughtered
about
it.
tutu something. I don't.
Oh, yeah, 4. Nice! Look at the counter.
That is classic.
Does anybody know how to say this name?
You know how to spell it? I can
No,
look
is
it
that
up to
a
see who
Like
you're
a
talking
tutu,
about.
I spelled it right. I copied
Maybe
it
it's
off the
a
net.
hero tutu.
It could be a hero tutu.
Say
That sounds kind of funny
I don't
too.
have-
Anyway,
None of my
he's
heroes ever
available.
wore a tutu.
He's
He's a
available.
charger.
He's available in 99.5% of leagues, which means he's available everywhere. He had 3 catches for 48 yards last week. He's a rookie. This guy's going to get a shot. He's one of those guys you take a chance on. He might give you nothing, but pick him up if you're hurting a wide receiver. If you got one of these injured
this
guys,
might be the only game he plays in. But
or he could
maybe-
step in and be great.
What are the first few letters of his last name?
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out what you're talking about over here.
Well,
Yeah.
that
Hero
should probably.
tutu.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
What say ye?
Say
Tutu.
he.
Oh, it's
a
definitely
hero
Hero
tutu.
Tutu. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I
God,
killed
love
it.
him. I love him
Not
already.
surprised.
I love him already.
Love them already. That's that. Does anybody else have any free agents they want to talk about? I think we had like 13 this week. My goodness, that's a lot. That's going to do it for On the Wire. It's time to move into a segment where we get more involved with you, the viewer, where you can tweet in your questions, your
an
lineup
intimate
problems,
level.
and possibly on an intimate level if you play your cards right. It's time for Smash, Dash, or Trash. Now, for our newer viewers, real quick, if we say it's a smash, they're a smash hit, start them, they're a great play. If it's stash, it means they're a guy we like, maybe not an every week starter, but definitely worth a bench spot. And if it's a trash, they're on the Cowboys. Used to be the Bills. You like
used to
that?
be the Bills. I
know.
like it. I like it.
I'm with you on that.
Oh, Marty, I hope you're watching online.
All right, what do we got? Colin.
I'll just mention it's
What?
a beautiful thing as a Vikings fan to know that there's something out there worse.
And that it's the
But
Cowboys.
it's still the national game every week because there are more Cowboys fans than anything else. So.
Which
Why do you have to
Well,
say that out loud? We know that. We just
no.
don't want to talk about
Does
it.
everybody else feel a bitter Niners fan?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
What do we got, Colin?
I think it's annoying for
We
everybody.
actually have people who are sending in questions right now. This is
All right.
weird.
Fantastic.
All right, so the first one I'm going to go with is a either or. Should they go with Tolbert, Matthews, Bush, or Brandon Tate? And they can only start 2 of them.
You can only
That's
start
a
2
tough
of
one.
them. So
And
that's.
I'm assuming it's
Tolbert?
Michael Bush.
Michael Bush, Ryan Matthews, Mike Tolbert, Brandon Tate.
That's tough.
Wow, that is tough. I would say Bush last week, Oakland's just really running the ball. And Bush had a decent game.
And he's going to get some goal line carries.
He's going to get some goal line carries.
They're playing the Chiefs.
They're playing the Chiefs.
Who, I have to say, alternately...
They got a good defense.
Yeah, they do have a good defense.
They have a
Now,
number
the
one
Chiefs-
rush defense.
I
don't
have
they?
the Chiefs on my team.
do.
I actually think that they're really up and down, but when they're good,
They're
they're really solid defense, and they'll hold teams to very little. But I just feel like Oakland's got a lot of firepower. The other thing I want to say is I'm not usually a fan of starting the number 2 running back. I've seen a lot of teams do it successfully, like whatever they've done it, but I'm usually not that guy. But I'm sort of leaning towards maybe actually starting Michael Bush and feeling pretty good about it going forward because he's had a couple of good games where he's been the number 2 guy and he's put up a good 14, 15
So
points
what would you
for
say
me.
Michael Bush is? Smash, dash, or trash?
well,
so tough
out
right now
of
with all the
these 4,
injuries.
I think the difference is too. Out of these 4, I think I would stash all 4 of these normally.
Yeah.
But if we're picking out of the 4, we've got to find the 2 we like
It's
best.
Tate, Tolbert, Bush, and...
And they are in Oakland, by the
Matthews.
way. The game's
Matthews,
in
Ryan Matthews.
Oh.
You know what?
I'd say
think
Bush and Tate.
See, I
think Matthews and Tate.
And see, I take it a whole different way. Tolbert and Matthews. And the reason why is with San Diego hurting at wide receiver, both of those guys are going to get more touches than usual, and they're going to rely more on their run game. That could be
Yeah.
But if
that
it's
could
all
be the
about Phillip
safest
Rivers,
play.
But if it's
That's
all
the
about Phillip
safest play.
Rivers, then
But think
you're
about
right.
it. It's the safest play because one of those guys is going to do well, and possibly both of them do okay. It's a safe play if these aren't the guys you're depending on to win it. You're just looking for both of them to not screw you. You might want to start both of those guys. I also do like Brandon Tate because they're playing Cleveland.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I would go Matthews and Tate.
Oh, and Belichick's playing the team he used to coach, so he'll definitely be on a little
And I think-
angry streak.
Tate
Yeah.
got a touchdown
Well,
last
so
week.
long.
Yeah.
I think so.
Tate, I mean, he only had 3 receptions, but it was for 101 yards. I
Yeah.
mean, granted, the one was kind of just a very
like-
long run afterwards.
Yeah.
But
But that's part of what Tate brings to you.
Yeah,
He's
it's part of
good
what Tate-
yards after the catch. So
I would go Matthews and Tate would
That's
be
who I'm
my
going with.
call. Of course,
I'm
you know
going
my
Tate.
track record on
I'm
the
going to
show.
go Tate
so
and Bush because I think Matthews is just there's too much uncertainty.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
Matthews and Tolbert. So we're gonna say that Matthews is the smash. There it is. Right. There you go. We're gonna say that Tate and Tolbert are both stashes, and Bush is a smatash.
What I think we can all agree on here is that we haven't really helped you at all.
Yeah, I gotta say this is
I feel good about that.
this is-
actually.
this
I
is
feel
by
oddly,
far-
strangely good about that.
Well, this could be an.
this is, I think, the
it's gonna
most
be a good I told
difficult
you so
one we
for
have
ever.
ever
And-
gotten.
And I
Because-
feel for you, man, because this is
Yeah.
a tough call because you know the guy you're gonna pick 2 guys and the other guys are gonna blow up,
Yeah,
and
and
there's
if you
just
ever
no way
challenge
around
me
it.
like that again during a live
But
show,
you have
I'll
to.
come after
You
you
have
and I will
to.
eat your
But
pets.
okay, this guy has to understand that Mark has Michael Bush, so there's a little bit of bias. But I also have Ryan Matthews, so.
yeah,
Little bias
okay,
there,
thank
too.
you, Claire.
I don't have any of these guys,
So-
and I have
But
McFadden,
I am
so I'm not a
hoping
Bush
that
fan.
on your team, this is like the number 2 running back and the flex position, and
Yeah.
that you have a much more like a solid.
Yeah, that's
group ahead of
why
them?
I like the Tolbert Matthews mix because I'm assuming you've got a number 1 running back, and these two spots are I need to get 10 points out of
Yeah.
each one so I don't lose.
If you've got the spots and you're looking, if you basically can like consider them to be 2 roster spots for 1 player, that hookup is a good one.
All right, let's
Okay.
go.
All right,
All right,
we're gonna
keep
move
it
on. We're gonna move on. All right, what's
Our
next,
producer's
Colin?
telling us to move on.
You
Yeah.
can just tell us to move on, bro. You don't
Okay.
have
Just
to
tell us
hold
to
up
shut
like
up.
a weird sign and
Yeah.
like do this in the air.
Jaguar
faster.
Shark would like to know, should he go with Stafford, or should he take Garrard or Freeman? Now, Garrard's on a bye week. Freeman's playing Atlanta. Stafford's going up against the Jets.
At home, wow. I actually like Freeman out of that mix.
Freeman is your safest bet. Freeman, like we said earlier, he will get you around 20 points.
Yep.
and I think he will do the same against the Falcons. There's much more upside to the possibility of Stafford, but there's also the chance that he's the riskier one.
Yeah.
I think he could get, he could.
Could be a shutdown, or he could have a huge
shut down
game.
Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
But it's very risky against the Jets. I would stash Stafford and smash Freeman.
Yeah, Freeman's the smash.
I like Garrard.
And you like
Little bit better than Freeman.
I don't trust. I think Garrard just had his best game of the year. Who are they playing this week?
They're playing.
No, they're on bye. You're not doing Garrard, but Garrard's got a bye, so it's got to be Freeman or Stafford. And I think we can all agree that Freeman is the safer play.
Freeman's at the Falcons too, which I feel like that's a good bet.
Yeah.
He'll get you around 20 points.
And Freeman now has a legitimate running game for the first time of the year because they figured out Blunt's the man. So he's not. It might actually open it up more for him.
Right.
So I'd say Freeman.
I was showing a huge list in the air, so I'm ready to get moving.
All right, moving on.
Okay. Tammy?
Don't ever call me that again.
Hey, I'll call you whatever I want, Dollface. Or Shanko this weekend.
Tammy.
Yeah, Shanko's been sucking this season.
Smashing Tammy. Tammy's the guy.
That
What's
one's
next?
quick.
Yeah, that's easy.
Mark didn't even chime in, but it doesn't matter.
I don't care. He's a tight end.
Neither one of those guys are on Mark's team, so it doesn't
They're
matter.
all on my team.
Okay, Packers receivers, James Jones or Jordy Nelson?
It's a tough one. James Jones is going to get you more receptions, but he's not going to get the deeper shots. Jordy Nelson's kind of the deep guy. If you're in a return yardage league, Jordy Nelson, because he returns their kicks.
Yeah.
I'm going to lean towards Nelson, but he's the one with more upside. Jones is more consistent.
I say Nelson.
Yeah. I think we're going to smash Nelson. Say Nelson.
I lean Jordy out of the two as well.
Yeah. Mark,
Just because I want to say Jordy.
Apparently not. We're going with Jordy Nelson.
I'm going to go with James Jones.
Hey, just to be a jerk about it.
Yep.
All right.
Jordy
Not a
Nelson.
jerk, more
Go
like
with Jordy
dick.
Nelson.
Okay, Chester Taylor. They say he's supposed to be the red zone threat now. At least according to
so
this person.
we're just talking about just Chester Taylor?
Yeah,
Smash,
this is
dash,
just
or trash him,
purely
JJ? What do you think?
A rarity. We have one player
Yeah,
only.
I would stash him. I mean, well, actually, if you got a roster spot and you got a number one running back out there, trash him. But if you got the roster spot, stash him. I just don't.
Yeah. He hasn't done anything this year.
Trash.
Yeah, trash.
He's trash for me. The only condition on that is if you're a Forte owner, go ahead and own him.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's trash. What else we got?
Colt McCoy.
No.
He's playing this week.
Colt
this
McCoy,
week.
keeper league, stash. Any other league, trash.
Agreed. I think that's across the board.
We gave you a bunch.
Don't get me wrong, Texas fans. I like Colt McCoy, but he's on a horrible team and he's a rookie. For fantasy purposes this year, no good. If you're in a keeper league, he's great. He's going to develop into something good, but this isn't the year for it. What else we got?
All right, in a trade, MJD for Forte.
No,
MJD for Forte.
I don't think so.
MJD
wow.
for 14.
That's
Oh man, no.
I feel like the
No.
Bears, the only thing they have is Forte. I think you.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't. I just think the Bears are in so much trouble right now.
Yeah, I kind of feel like MJD is one of those guys that's underperforming, but he's got
Look, the Bears
spectacular
are
talent.
They have the
They're playing
Bills.
the Bills this week.
They're
though.
playing the Bills this week. Then they get the Vikings.
Matt Forte's had 2 great games this year. Week 1 and Week 5. That's Carolina and Detroit. I just don't see him doing much.
Yeah. I'm going to say go ahead and make the trade for MJD. I like him going forward more.
I thought he was the guy with MJD, and then I would say no. If you're the guy with Forte,
Colin, how is that? Is he trading MJD for Forte?
Let's see. This was I think it was traded. Got Forte for MGD or MJD. Ugh.
For an MGD, that's a good trade because it's a shit beer. But for MJD, no, I like MJD going forward more. He's more consistent, and I believe he will eventually start getting in the end zone. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah!
Nice.
You're gonna lose this pronunciation race. You're gonna lose.
Not a chance, my friend.
Granted, there are no winners. But
Let's talk about Kevin Kolb. All right, anyway.
Not and say he did.
What else we got?
Okay, should we go with Mike Williams out of Seattle, Gonzalez, Geddes, or Manningham?
Manningham immediately.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, Manningham. All the rest of those guys have injury issues. Second, I'd put
Yeah.
Mike Williams, but he's got some kind of injury. We don't know where he's at. And Charlie Whitehurst is starting at quarterback, so that cannot be very good. Maybe it'll be great, but
Yeah.
I doubt it.
I mean, the only risk for Manningham is that they are three incredibly talented receivers in New York right now.
And one of the best
them
running backs in the league
Yeah.
in Ahmad Bradshaw.
And, one of them is... There may not be enough balls to go around every week for
But
all
I
three of
think-
them, but he's definitely the most talented of the entire bunch.
But they're all... Colin.
Enough balls.
No.
Colin's
Colin
14.
loves the balls.
Ha-ha, he
line.
said balls.
Oh, he said
I'm
not enough
12
balls
with
to
my
go
humor.
around.
That's interesting. I know there's a little side note, but we don't talk about Ahmad Bradshaw a lot. And the guy's been incredible. I mean, he's just had a great year. He does get a lot of the goal line touches vultured by Jacobs, but he's like number 4 in yardage, number 3 in yardage. He's
very
catching passes out of the
quietly.
backfield, and
But
very quietly
I feel
and
that
consistently.
whole Giants team is quietly doing well.
Yeah, I would
There's
not
not
be
a lot of
surprised
talk
if the
about them at
Giants
all.
end up in the Super Bowl. They've
I
got all
think
kinds of
they're-
talent.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
All right, what else we got?
Okay, Meacham.
Well,
Okay. Oh, that's
Smash,
a
dash, and
that's a
trash.
Yeah,
oh,
that's-
so we're back to the
it's-
original intent
Wow.
of this
Yeah,
exercise here?
there's
Okay.
like one or two. This is one of the few.
You know,
I would stash him.
Yeah, I would too.
I just can't see playing Meacham or Henderson regularly. I kind of feel like they're one and the same. But I also know that
Meacham,
had-
Henderson, Lance Moore.
and it
They're all-
rotates. That's the
But I
problem.
know,
You don't know
yeah.
who it's
One
going
week
to be.
they're great, one week
Yeah.
they're
Yeah, the way I feel about all three of those guys is if I can find a way to trade them and get some value for them because they're so inconsistent, and I'm such a fan, especially at the wide receiver position, of consistent guys. I like it at tight end too. Yes, I'm going to talk about Aaron Hernandez now. But Aaron Hernandez has yet to score a touchdown.
just wake me up
I
when
have
he's done.
started him all year long, and he's been great because he'll get you 8 to 12 points every week.
Still Hernandez.
He's consistent.
Still.
You know, it's a good-looking guy. Calm down. All right, moving on.
Hernandez. Hernandez.
All right.
Adam apparently has more than enough of Aaron Hernandez's balls to go around.
Yes,
That's good.
yes.
We got Chris
I think it
Ivory,
really makes sense.
Donald Brown, or Kevin Smith.
Oh boy, here we go. Don't get me.
Wow.
I have Ivory and Donald Brown.
We have a couple of Ivory comparisons too. Actually, this is the first of 2 so far.
Ivory,
I'm
Ivory
going,
had that one game.
I'm
and-
going Donald Brown.
Me too.
Yeah.
I agree. Donald
Me too.
Brown.
Oh.
Ivory's
I think
just too
that's-
inconsistent, and that
I would
team doesn't run
stash
the ball
Ivory.
well.
I think that's
who's
the
the
safest.
third
Man,
guy?
oh man, it's getting hot in here.
Kevin Smith,
Kevin Smith.
Detroit.
I
Well,
would
Kevin
stash
Smith, if he
Ivory,
wasn't
I would
injured, but he's
Yeah,
injured.
he's
so
injured.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
might play, but he's banged up, and Best isn't. So Best is going to get all those carries this week.
Yeah.
I don't like. I mean, Kevin Smith didn't practice today, so forget about Kevin Smith. Ivory. He's boomer bust. That's the sad part.
Yep.
Is we're going to tell you Brown, and there's a good chance that Ivory could blow up, and there's a
Ivory's
good
gonna-
chance he
yeah.
can get nothing.
It's
So-
like he's one of those guys, 30 yards or 150.
Everybody on the Saints team, other than Drew
Well,
Brees, is boomer bust.
the problem is that Drew Brees, they don't. It's like they don't have an identity like they did last year.
But
They don't know what they are.
But
right
Brees is
now.
also that kind of quarterback. He's much like Manning. He doesn't throw to the number 1 and the number 2 guy. He throws to the open guy. He's very good at that. So
Yeah,
you never
yeah.
really know. You know, it's all about what corner screws up his coverage, and that's the guy who gets the ball, and that's
Yeah.
how it is there. So you can't
Yeah.
you can't predict it.
I do think with Donald Brown, at least, I don't know, I think with Reggie Bush possibly coming back next week,
yeah,
go with
Yeah.
Donald Brown.
Yeah, I go
Donald Brown.
You know, I want to say one thing
Smash him,
about Robert
Donald
Meacham as we smash him. Donald Brown, whatever. You know, Meacham also is playing the Panthers, and I just read that he's got like 13 catches and 171 yards in 2 games against them, and he did have 6 for 76 last week against the Steelers. So it might be tipping a little bit as far as those 3 guys towards
I
Robert
think
Meacham.
he's the
if
more
you
talented
need,
of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, good point. So you know, if you're just looking at if you need us to fill a spot this week, you know, you could do worse, especially.
But
against
see, I like a guy like Burleson better than Meacham. No, it's not the same team.
I agree.
The point is that there's nobody competing with him for
Right.
that second
Sure.
spot. It's his.
Yep.
Stafford's back. Pick up Burleson instead of Meacham.
I'm all
Yeah,
over
9
that.
guys
I'm all over
caught
that.
passes last week in the New Orleans game.
Yeah, it's a
9
mess.
different people caught
What else we got,
passes.
Colin?
We got Chris Ivory or Ronnie Brown.
Ronnie Brown.
Ronnie Brown has
reluctantly.
consistently shown you that he will get you 50 to 60 yards like a Brandon
go-
Jackson.
Ronnie Brown,
He
and
is
you can
consistent.
put those 6 points in the bank, but it's ugly.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
you got to find a better option than either one of those guys at this point.
Chris Ivory could definitely have a much bigger game. Brown, you know exactly what you're gonna get.
Yeah. Let's do a couple more, and then Wrap this puppy up.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I got to hit Mickey D's, man. No.
How about, let's see, was it Miami defense or Baltimore defense?
Ooh.
Who are they playing? Who are
They're playing each other.
Oh, that's right.
Oh. In that case, I'll tell you, I'd absolutely go with Baltimore.
Oh, but yeah, because Ed Reed's
Baltimore
back.
hasn't been as good as
Well,
they
I
used to.
know.
but
I'll tell you why.
Ed Reed is
Ed
back.
Reed's
That's
back,
right.
so I think
Ed
Baltimore.
Reed is back. I think that was a huge wake-up call for them last week. And Brandon Marshall has actually been struggling a little bit the last couple of weeks. And I just feel like they're a little bit out of sync right now. I would go with Baltimore.
I'm gonna decline to comment for personal reasons.
I would say Baltimore, Claire.
Yeah.
We're going to smash Baltimore, and because you shouldn't be carrying two defenses, trash the Dolphins.
I started them the last 2 weeks too, and they did nothing.
I
for
started them last week, and they
Me. They
killed
did
me.
nothing for me.
That
So
vented my
frustrating.
anger.
All right, one more.
Actually, you guys up for a lightning round? We just
Yeah,
do
go for
like
it. Go
five.
for it.
All right.
We won't even talk. We'll just say one word.
Yeah.
Tony Miyake,
Uh-oh.
Stash.
Stash. Definite stash.
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 Ricky Williams,
Stash.
Stash.
Wait, slow it down. Stash.
that was Williams.
Trash.
Trash.
He's done.
One touchdown catch is not a running back.
Yeah, he
maybe.
sucks.
Devon Bess,
Smash.
Smash.
Even
Like
against
Devon.
Baltimore. I still
mean,
like him.
maybe not this week, but overall, he's been great. He's been great.
I will be starting him
been
against
more
Baltimore,
consistent lately
and I
than
just
Marshall.
won. Sip.
What else we got?
I'm on a high.
Blunt, beast or no beast?
Oh,
Yes.
Beast.
Yes.
Beast. This guy's
Did you see that hurdle?
incredible.
Smash
this guy's
him.
incredible.
He hurt
Trust
the
me.
guy.
I've been thinking about Blunt since before the season started because, like I said, in college he was just unstoppable, and we just saw him do it in the NFL last
You know
week.
what?
I've
It's
just
also-
seen Adam's dreams. It's just Aaron Hernandez.
Not only did he have an incredible
LeGarrette
game,
Blount.
LeGarrette Blount killed somebody last week and got away with it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's, I mean,
Yeah.
that right there makes him a huge start.
What else we got, Colin?
Anthony Armstrong,
No.
I like him. He's a stash and
He's a
a
stash.
bye week
He's a
fill-in.
stash.
He's a
I don't know.
stash. And if you're in a keeper league, he's great.
I think he's deep stash.
San Fran defense,
Trash.
Trash.
What? What?
Not allowed to comment. Not allowed to comment.
just-
All right, go ahead.
High-five it. We're terrible. We suck. Thank you.
and to sum up, Brandon Lloyd.
Oh, smash.
smash.
He's a smash.
He's a yardage
They're
machine.
struggling, but he's
He had like one or two bad
he's
games.
leading the league in
Awesome.
yardage. He's, he'll
Huge
continue to be
game
well.
last
He's a
week.
yardage.
Huge machine.
And remember, wide receivers, when they're on teams that start sucking, actually start performing better because they're throwing the ball more. So he's got
Right.
everything going for him. He's in good shape. That's going to sum it up for Smash, Dash, or Trash. Thank you guys so much for
Thank
sending in
you.
all these great questions. Remember to follow us at Twitter at stupid4football. Go to our Facebook page. You can look us up, Stupid for Fantasy Football, on Facebook, and friend us. You can get to the Twitter account through that too, and we'll be having some threads. We want to have some discussions with you guys, talk things over. Check us out on Blip TV for all of our last episodes. You can see that through Roku. Obviously, you know about Ustream because you're watching it. Also, go to Streamin' Garage at YouTube. Streamin' with just one G, so it's Streamin' Garage. And you'll see all the other shows. Stupid for Dexter, Stripped Down Live with Kurt Smith from Tears for Fears. Great band. And, of course, the original, the one that started it all, the grandfather of them all, Stupid for Movies, which will be later on tonight on Ustream at 8 p.m.
Stick around if you missed the start of the show. We're going to play it again right now.
We're going to play it.
Oh,
We're going
gonna-
back to
We're going to
back.
play the beginning of the show again
We're gonna
because
get all up in this
that's
bitch.
how we like to do it. We're going to play the show over again. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Thanks a lot, guys. Good luck out there. Cowboys
Bye.
suck.
Kick some
Bye.
ass. It's a sharp choice.
Oh, you're running back. LeGarrette Blount.
LeGarrette Blount is definitely, if he's still available after this week,
Then you're in a Facebook league.
He's
Or
not
you're in my league. Yeah.
you're in Claire's league.
The other day.
Yeah, he's not available
Yeah.
on Facebook, but in Claire's league.
He's available in my league.
But if he's still there, grab him. Like,
Yeah.
even if, he's definitely better than one player on your team.
And he's going to be a great start this week against Atlanta. They've got a solid run defense, but not a shutdown run defense. He's going to be another great start this week. Freeman should be pretty decent against him. And obviously, Jacob Tomei. Oh, there you go.
And I would say you can
going forward.
add Stafford to the list of, but that was probably someone you already talked about. For
Yeah,
quarterback.
Stafford. We've talked about him. I think a lot of guys kept him on their rosters. Not a lot of people dropped him because he does have that kind of talent.
But it would have taken guts last week to start him.
Yes.
Coming back from the injury after the bye,
Yeah.
it would have been
You
gutsy.
don't have to
and
feel bad about it.
Right. And, if you did it, more power to you. Because
Yeah.
guess who didn't? This guy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well,
But I
enough
will
of the
this week,
bragging.
baby. Yeah.
We're going to move on to what's going on in the league and how it affects your fantasy team. It's time for fantasy news. Now. Jabber, what's happening out there?
Fantasy news, ladies and gentlemen. Fantasy news. Big news story this week. Randy Moss. Randy Moss. Randy Moss, huge story. There he is. There's Randy.
I love that hair.
Oh, man. Randy, we love you, Randy. Actually, I hate you. But as a panel, we love you. Because now you're a Tennessee Titan.
Look at that one. That was even
You're
better.
on a team that's actually going to contend now. So there's a couple of people we want to talk about here because there's one guy that's really up in the air on the Titans right now, and that is Mr. Nate Washington. Mm-hmm. Claire, what do you got for me?
I think this is good for Nate Washington, maybe in a similar way that it was really good for Percy Harvin. But again, as we were talking about earlier, this is all going to hinge upon whether or not Vince Young or Kerry Collins can get the ball.
Hello and welcome to Stupid for Fantasy Football. I'm Adam. This is Claire, Jabber, and JJ. We're here to bring you all the breaking news, how it's going to affect your team, injury report, great free agency pickups. We're going to get into our first segment here where we get to bitch and complain about what went wrong in our personal fantasy lives. This is called Who Screwed Me? That's kind of how it felt for me this week.
Oh, with the lightning and the clouds.
Oh, and it's a double Who Screwed Me.
Oh,
Wow.
It's true, too.
It's reflecting Markinized teams now.
Yeah.
right.
It's just rubbing it in.
Well, that works for me because I had one guy who beat both of my teams this week. And you know, when it's like an Arian Foster or a Reggie Wayne, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
This week, it was a kicker.
Oh.
A kicker on the last game. Adam Vinatieri went off 14.5 points, and I lost both of those games by less than 2 points.
Not good.
Stupid,
And on the
idiot
last
kicker.
game.
Not good.
Brutal. Claire, who screwed you?
Well, I won, but barely, and Aaron Rodgers really screwed me. But I don't place the blame totally on Aaron Rodgers. I kind of place the blame on his receiving core because every time I looked at that game, Greg Jennings was dropping a ball. Someone was dropping a ball. They were blaming it on the wind at the stadium, but get it together. So.
well, Claire just screwed me by stealing my thunder about Aaron Rodgers screwing me because
You get screwed no matter what
I get
happens.
screwed no matter what happens. My team is 3-5. It's awful. Rodgers, Donald Brown, Chris Ivory. Any of these names ring a bell? Probably not because they're not playing on anybody's starting teams. Gosh, it was just awful. The only guy who did anything for me last week was Mike Williams from Tampa because he's so good. And I had Matthew Stafford on my bench. So what are you going to do? I lost, but hopefully with Steve Smith back from the bye, we'll see what happens. But I got screwed all around. I always get
You got
screwed all
really
around.
screwed.
Get off the table, JJ.
That's painful.
That's painful. Yeah, it's painful.
Yeah.
I lost by 50 points.
Wow, JJ just critiqued your team, dude.
I did.
That's
when I look at your team and go, wow, that's bad. You know you're in trouble if I'm like, oh, wow. Oh.
That is just. Look at Michael Bush, the backup.
I know, did great. Still starting him.
Put in some quality time. I might do it this week.
The solid, you know exactly what you're going to get from Brandon Jackson there. That's it.
Right.
But every week.
That's all you get. 11.2. I think I got it 2 weeks in a row. 11.2 points.
As far as who screwed me, I actually won.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hold the presses.
Last week when I had the fire sale, I completed my fire sale. I broke up with Miles Austin. We're done. I know he went out, had a good game to prove how much he loved me still after I traded him, but I don't believe him.
Now I have a
and
question.
I no longer have to worry about it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You get that 3 a.m. call from Miles Austin. I miss you,
I'm not
baby.
taking him back.
I need you back. I'm sorry
not.
I hurt you. No,
Nope.
it's over. You're
Nope.
done.
Would you
I'm gonna
handle
hold
that
you to
3 a.m.
that.
call better
There
than
he
Bill
is.
Clinton?
See, no.
There he is.
Instead, what I feel like
Is that a
is, I
Kardashian?
feel like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just making
Rune, you want to show me what I feel like this week?
How do you feel this week?
I feel like I just went to Disneyland.
Wow.
Did you send a Disneyland picture?
I did. Oh, you don't have. Oh,
Oh no! I forwarded it.
Corey, I went out of my way to actually send in a picture this
CSL
week.
dropped the ball on that.
He did,
CSL.
but
CSL dropped the ball.
Oh well.
But I had my quarterback in a bye week. Josh Freeman came in, played well.
I started him as well.
Miles Austin has been traded out for Devon Bess, New York Giants Steve Smith, and Jonathan Stewart, who is not that good. But basically, LeGarrette Blount, who I said on my bench, would have made me win even more. So I'm actually happy this week. It's kind of nice.
Wow.
I know, it's weird.
I'm glad
Great.
I'm back for you to see.
I know.
You won. You
happy.
won.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
won.
Well, no, I was 1 and 2.
I'm the biggest loser.
Yeah.
Oh, because unlike last 2 weeks, position players on my team actually had touchdowns. It's amazing how helpful that is.
That does help a lot, doesn't it? Those 6
Not a lot.
bumps are nice.
I'm not saying I won in huge fashion.
Yeah.
That
But
doesn't
I- but I
matter.
won.
As long as you win,
That's
you
right.
don't have to win by much.
So not so
God,
bad
You won
this
by,
week.
oh man, that's terrible. Okay. All right.
It's a win. It's a win.
A win's a win.
I'm looking over there. I'm seeing a giant loss.
A win's a win's a win.
All right, enough of this
All right,
bitching.
All right.
Let's move on to what we got right. We recommend players for you guys every week. Here's the guys we got right, and we told you so.
Great.
We're back to the classic we told you so. The angry bullet we told you so.
It's like it's
I like last week with the Halloween. That
like
was
Yeah.
gang violence.
Yeah.
This
Where's
is
the,
promoting gang
whatever happened to
violence.
the one that his nephew or niece did?
Yeah,
you know, the little
seriously.
drawing.
Gaga. All right, let's start off with the first guy. Now, we talked about him last week and we told you so, but then he blew up huge. LeGarrette Blount. This guy, I think he's going to be a stud for years going forward. He was the best running back in college football before that punch happened last year, which knocked him out of the draft practically.
Sure.
He's an incredible talent. If he can keep his anger issues calmer and not punch anybody, he should be great going forward. I love
think
this
just
guy.
keep those anger issues focused.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Feel.
Yeah.
Take
Don't
it out of the
lose
field.
That helps
Just focus
you.
them.
I kind of
Yeah.
feel the same way about me. If I can keep my anger issues under control, I might be a better fantasy football player.
And not be punching
You know what I mean?
the computer. Or JJ.
We weren't even on camera.
You laughed at my
hit me.
team.
We talked about this guy a little bit, Josh
laughable.
Freeman. We've had a lot of quarterback injuries, especially last week. Freeman was one of the guys we recommended. Now, he didn't have 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, but a good, solid start. This guy is very consistent. It's like around 20 points every week.
Yeah.
How many times does a quarterback throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns in a game, Adam?
Well, when Marino played, it happened consistently.
All
Right. Okay, there you go. Did you see what Claire, stand up a little bit.
Oh
You gotta
yeah,
show
no,
it.
you can't see my,
Yeah,
my
see,
shirt.
this
but
is
I
her
wore
Dolphin
this for
Buster
Adam.
shirt.
There it
Can you
is.
believe this crap?
Niners, baby. Niners, baby.
Marty, I miss you. You don't do this to me.
And all of a sudden, you think you're all up.
Hey, we won that game overseas, dude.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
swam the channel.
Overseas.
Hey, put on Google Maps right now, Los Angeles to London. Okay?
And it says
Try to
some-
navigate your way to London and see what they tell you. They're going to tell you to swim.
Actually,
You know what?
actually Japan to China's funnier too.
Troy
in my
Smith.
opinion.
Troy
All
Smith
right.
gets you there. That's
Troy
who
Smith
gets
gets
you
you
there.
Oh, God, another Smith quarterback for
Yeah.
the 49ers.
Yeah, Smith and Wesson.
So Freeman's been a great, consistent start. I like him. He's a guy I'm
and
going
the
to keep
thing
on
is,
my bench.
the
I
one
think,
nice thing
like-
is he really has been very consistent.
Yeah, every
You know,
week.
every week it's between, depending on your league scoring, it's about 20 points.
Yeah, and you look at it, it's him in comparison to a guy like Garrard or Fitzpatrick. Those guys will have huge games and then completely disappear.
And especially,
Or
we're
Aaron
getting
Rodgers.
towards the end of the
Yeah.
season when you're
Yeah.
getting into the playoffs, you want to know what you're going to have.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a guy who's consistent.
Yeah, and he's going to be my backup for the rest of the year, and I'm in a
Talking to
keeper
you,
league,
Miles Austin,
so he's might be a guy I keep into next year because he's growing and getting better every year. We talked about Jacob. Is it Tammy or Tame? I don't know. Tammy. Jacob Tammy.
Oh,
I can make
that's
fun of that.
cheating. I can't believe you asked before you just took
You should
an
show it.
awful attempt at it.
You should
We
show
always
it.
I
rely on
said Tammy
Adam to
first.
Make a
I was hoping
terrible
to hear
game.
a Tomei.
Right.
Tamay. Jacob Tamay. There you go.
If you showed
Yeah.
a picture
Tom.
of him, he does not look like
Tom.
Or
Adam
Tame.
would call him Tom.
Jacob Tame. Just take out
Tammy.
one of the M's, and
a
it's
drool
Tame.
myself.
There you go.
Okay.
He's Look, he's not going to be Dallas Clark because nobody's ever going to be Dallas Clark, but he had a really good game. And clearly Manning's comfortable with him. That team's got running back injury issues, so they're going to be throwing consistently. He's great going forward. It's his job. I think he's a top 10 tight end from here on out for the rest of the season, especially on that offense.
Could very well be. Could very well be. Well-oiled machine, that offense
Yeah.
is. So, I mean, they're just firing on all cylinders right now. They finally started to gel, and their Colts are good. Colts are good.
Colts are looking
Looking
could
maybe
just say,
Colts
like-
Pats again, maybe in the AFC Championship. You
Could
never know.
be, and that wouldn't be a surprise at all.
Yep.
Do you guys have anybody to add? Those are really the three guys that stood out for me. I mean, I think all three of these guys should be on a roster. If you're in any league that these guys are on a waiver wire, pick them up, because even if you don't need a quarterback or you don't need